Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do. Every weekday over the airways of ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, from New York to LA and everything in between, including Houston, San Antonio, and West Palm Beach. The latest additions to the Stephen A. Smith Show lineup. And of course, ESPN Radio, the Stephen A. Smith Show on Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Cleveland Cavaliers completely annihilated the Toronto Raptors last night, destroyed them, was up by as much as 38 if I remember correctly, ended up winning this game in a landslide, sending the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, winners of 59 games during the regular season, home in the Eastern Conference Finals via a 4-0 sweep by the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James clearly was dominant. Kevin Love showed up and contributed. J.R. Smith hit like his first 6 or 7 shots. And as I said coming into the series, if you're going to be successful, all Cleveland needed to do, you had to get not one but 2 individuals who produced for you on the perimeter. 2 of the 3. It had to be J.R., Kevin Love, Kyle Korver. 2 of the 3. 2 of the 3. Not 1 of the 3, but 2 of the 3. If you got that, then you were going to be all right. And as a result, because they got that, because Kyle Korver, because J.R. Smith, because even George Hill got into the mix, with Kevin Love hitting 9 of 13 from three-point range, the Cleveland Cavaliers ran the Toronto Raptors out of the building. I am incredibly sad for my man Dwayne Casey, who I consider to be one of the best coaches in the NBA, but he didn't have the horses. He didn't have the horses. DeMar DeRozan is a star, but there's levels to this, ladies and gentlemen. And he clearly showed that LeBron is in a whole other stratosphere. Unlike Kevin Durant, who stepped up in the NBA Finals while LeBron was averaging a triple-double, and KD, meaning Kevin Durant, decided to average 35 and 8 along the way to win NBA Finals MVP honors. DeMar DeRozan was nowhere in the vicinity. Period. There's no other way to slice it. I hate to say it. I hate to feel that way. I feel bad because I like him. But the bottom line is clear. And the bottom line is that DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry don't work. I don't blame Kyle Lowry. He's a miniature guard. He's going to be able to be held in check even though he can play. Clearly, you got to pull that apart. That's what you got to do. There's no other way around it. In the case of Philadelphia and Boston, this is a series that did not end in the sweep because Philadelphia survived. They won Game 4. The Boston Celtics, courtesy of T.J. McConnell of the Philadelphia 76ers, getting 38 minutes of career high, scoring 19 points of career high. This guy showed out against Terry Rozier, against Marcus Smart, and as a result, propelled the Philadelphia 76ers to victory, avoiding a sweep. Do I believe they're going to win Game 5? No. But if they win Game 5, I think it's going to be a 7-game series because I think Philadelphia is going to go back and win Game 6 Friday night. So what this comes down to is a 1-game series. Can Philadelphia survive Boston? Can they get out of Boston? Can they find a way to prolong this series? My answer is no. It's not something that I see. We'll get into all of that as the show progresses because those things need to be dissected and broken down. But one of the things that we've got to talk about as well is the New York Knicks head coaching job. And why is that relevant? Because obviously a lot of people out there believe the biggest reason David Fizdale got the head coaching job is because he's got an in with LeBron James. He was an assistant on that Miami Heat squad when they went to 4 straight NBA finals, won back-to-back titles. LeBron James was his star pupil along with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And there's no way on earth that anybody can imagine that if when LeBron becomes a free agent, that Fizdale can't even get in a room to talk to him. That's not going to happen. Fizdale is not Phil Jackson. LeBron will meet with David Fizdale. He'll have a conversation with David Fizdale. And then he'll respectfully decline joining Fizdale in New York because James Dolan is still the owner of the New York Knicks. At least that's what I was told. Now, having said all of that, let's be clear about something. Because even though I'm all over the country, and I was in Philly last night, and I'm in Connecticut today, and I'm going to be in Boston tomorrow night for Game 5. And I'll probably be in Houston for this weekend, Game 1. Let's be very, very clear about what's going on. Let's be very, very clear about our understanding of what is unfolding before our very eyes. The New York Knicks hiring David Fizdale, my second choice for this job, but I'm still happy for him because I love him. But I thought Mark Jackson was ideal because it's New York. David Fizdale introduced himself to New York. The reason I'm bringing it up because, damn it, I'm a native New Yorker. Damn it, I'm a diehard Knicks fan. And half the time I am in New York doing this show. So David Fizdale had a few things to say. First question he was asked about was what separates the Knicks job from the other jobs that he may have potentially had an opportunity to snag. Here's what he said.
The thing that just I couldn't get away from was the history and the city. And just the interview process with these guys just kept sticking to me. I just felt a real connection to them. And, just how many times do you get a chance to coach in the Garden? It's a once-in-a-lifetime deal.
Oh, cut it. Lies! And I say it affectionately. I love David Fizdale. I've known him for years. Lies, flat-out lies. What history? What is he talking about? Lies! Now, if that's how that tickles your fancy and you want to feel that way, that's cool. That's cool. That is absolutely positively cool. But lies. What history? What history of the New York Knicks? You mean the moribund history that's been associated with them for the last decade? You mean the countless times spanning a decade where they kept running into Michael Jordan or Reggie Miller and coming up short? That history? Is that what you're talking about? Because the David Fizdale that I know has 2 rings. That's the David Fizdale I know. So when you talk about history, no, Cat, correct me if I'm wrong. My man Jonathan Winthrop, my producer extraordinaire, is off today, so I'm going to have to work with the 2 I've got. Let's be very, very clear. Is it wrong? Is it me deviating from decency to point out that if you're talking about history, I'm thinking championship, 4 championship coach? I mean, a coach that's got 2 rings is going to tell me he can't get away from the history. That was what compelled him. Nonsense. Lies, and more lies. There is no history to celebrate here with the New York Knicks. Now, I sincerely hope he will give us moments that we can record and ultimately refer back 2 years to come about the Knicks history. But the one that exists right now, stop it. Stop it. Let's teach David Fizdale one thing about New York right now. Damn it, we know our basketball, and the only thing we know better than that is our pain. And our pain has been distributed to us and inflicted upon us by this New York Knicks franchise. Let's be very, very clear. I'm not knocking Steve Mills and Scott Perry for making us hire. I'm not knocking Fizdale for being a coach because I think he's a damn good coach and I'm rooting for him. That's my buddy. But damn it, I say it affectionately. Lies, and more lies. Lies. I don't want to hear anything about the New York Knicks history. I'll give you some history, David Fizdale. I'm 50. I'm 50 years old. And the last time the New York Knicks won a title, I was 6. How about that? I apologize. 5. I was 5 years old. Because the New York Knicks, when they won a title in 1973, it was about 4 months before my 6th birthday. I was 5. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear about the New York Knicks history. I don't want to hear it. Now, you want to talk about Bernard King? Fine. You want to talk about Patrick Ewing? Fine. Those are individuals. I understand. But this team? What history? What history? You mean the history of the team that threw confetti, let confetti descend from the rafters, in Madison Square Garden after winning one playoff game against your Miami Heat team, David Fizdale, before you took them out in 5? You mean that team? Stop it. Lies, 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 and more lies. No. We're not going to start off your tenure in New York that way. I appreciate the political correctness. I really, really do. But we're not having it. We don't need it. Let's move forward. Let's move forward. Obviously, when he was in Memphis as the coach, he had problems with Marc Gasol, which I primarily blame on Marc Gasol, by the way. But here's what David Fizdale had to say about that.
I really take ownership in that, where we didn't necessarily click on things. That's, it's my responsibility as the coach to get players to buy in and really, get them to collaborate and come together. And it just, for whatever reason, we bumped head on some things. But I took that to heart. My wife could tell you better than anyone. I've been meeting with some super leaders from all industries and all walks of life and just getting their feedback on how to manage and deal with different situations and really just tried to dive into.
Cut it! Now that is a politically correct answer that I can stomach. We weren't there. We don't know the particulars. We know a head coach that was looking to win, was demanding, and the star of the franchise, who had never won a championship, by the way, took it the wrong way. Fizdale answered that question correctly, and I applaud it. And by the way, as an aside, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Fizdale's decision-making, in some respects, is exceptional. Lord have mercy, his wife is drop dead gorgeous. I just want to put that for the record. I've met her on several occasions in the past. She is something special. Talk about the first lady of New York basketball. Welcome to town. I just wanted to throw that out there. Now on to Kristaps Porzingis. He raved about the New York Knicks star. Listen to what he had to say about Porzingis.
I would say the best way to describe he's the future of the NBA. I mean, you look around these teams that's still playing right now, and they all got guys that are super long, super athletic, super skilled, super tough-minded, incredible workers, and that is what he embodies. Obviously I don't know him personally yet, but I did my background too, and he fits all of the qualities of a mega
Got
star.
It. Like that. Accurate, to the point. We can stomach that. But brace yourself, because Scott Perry, the GM, and Steve Mills, the president, was there with Fizdale, and they were asked about the timetable for the New York Knicks and their success, what you're looking forward to. Listen to what they had to say.
Our timetable is that we're going to embrace the journey every day to get better and better every single day. I think that's the key, and I think I mentioned it earlier, and David just brought it about not skipping steps. You can't skip steps to becoming a championship caliber team. It just doesn't happen. I haven't seen it happen.
No.
And we don't have magic wands to make that happen. But the magic formula, if you will, is the daily grind. Yes. Being committed, being consistent to what we're going to be about. I think that's what you can sense and feel that we're establishing here, and that's what we're very, very excited about. So that's what we're going to do. And obviously, every time we go out to play, we want this ball club to win. We're going to be trying to win each and every night, and I'm sure I speak for Coach on that as well too. But the key in being able to become a winner, you just got to get good at the simple stuff.
That right there. That was Scott Perry talking. I know Steve Mills' voice. That wasn't him. Scott Perry would know something about that because he was in Detroit when they went to 6 consecutive conference finals, including back-to-back NBA Finals appearance, and won a title, beating the Los Angeles Lakers before losing the following season in 7 games to the San Antonio Spurs when Rasheed Wallace blew Game 5 by leaving Robert Horry wide open in the corner. But that's a different story for another day because I love my man Rasheed Wallace. Having said all of that, let me be very, very clear. Scott Perry didn't say anything wrong there because it's about the grind. It's about doing the work on a daily basis. The successful teams have that going on for themselves. When we look at LeBron James right now and we see what has transpired throughout these playoffs, that's a product of repetition, of commitment and leadership, obviously with him being the ringleader. We can't ignore that. We have to appreciate that, and we have to go from there. So that's point number one. Point number two, what LeBron has been doing, everyone outside of the Warriors is striving to do. Right now, if you're a member of the Houston Rockets, you're up 3-1 on the Utah Jazz. You want me to tell you what's most impressive about Houston? It's not that they're about to be en route to the conference finals, which would be the first of the illustrious career of CP3. It's about the fact that you responded the way that you responded after being beaten by Utah in Game 2. Houston came out mad. We know James Harden is great. We know CP3 is great. We know Clint Capella has been a significant upgrade from the days of Dwight Howard because of his ability to run the floor and be effective while integrated into that particular system. We get all of that. We've seen Trevor Ariza. We've seen Eric Gordon. We've seen P.J. Tucker. We've seen Gerald Green. We've seen all of these guys. The point of the matter is we have to give credit where credit is due to the offensive brilliance of Mike D'Antoni. The fact that Fizdale and the rest of the crew have incorporated a defensive philosophy along with the addition of Chris Paul that has really elevated their level of play. Not to mention the fact that they are more focused and disciplined than ever. And if you're going to beat the Golden State Warriors, that's how you got to do it. It's not just with skill. It's about matching their level of discipline and tenacity all rolled up into one. This is what's required. This is what's mandatory. This is what's so pivotal. And this is exactly what the Houston Rockets are doing. They came on the court in Utah, ticked off that they lost Game 2. They didn't give Utah a chance. Donovan Mitchell was my rookie of the year was no factor in Game 3. Zero. Meant nothing. Game 4 wasn't that impressive either. But he tried, and he was a bit more apparent. But he just couldn't do but so much. Rudy Gobert, the best thing about Rudy Gobert in this series are the outfits that he's worn into the arena. Clearly, he's from France. It's the best thing you can say about him. The rest of the crew, non-existent. Period. Just non-existent. And if you are a fan of the Houston Rockets and you truly believe they have a legitimate shot to win the crown, this is how they got to look. They got to play upset. They got to play angry. They got to play with an attitude. And it can't be saved for Golden State. Because it's not enough to turn it up a notch once Golden State arrives. You want to send a message to Golden State. We're coming. What do you think Golden State did this weekend? When they blew out New Orleans in Game 4 after getting shellacked in Game 3. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green sending a message to Kevin Durant in the middle of the night. I need to see that dog. I need to see that dude. And what Kevin Durant said, I got you. Now, it would be nice if Draymond Green didn't have to send a damn text in the middle of the night. This is something that Kevin Durant knew to do on his own, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, Kevin Durant steps on the court, handles his business. Steph Curry does the same. Klay Thompson does the same. Draymond Green does the same. Andre Iguodala does the same. But by the way, having said all of that, I know everybody's been raving about, quote unquote, the Death Squad or the Hampton Five. Can we stop it? Please, pretty please, with sugar on top. We've seen plenty of starting fives in a game of basketball that might have taken those dudes out. Can we stop? I like Andre Iguodala. Love me some Draymond Green. And you know I think that Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry are three of the greatest shooters this game has ever seen. But can we stop the Death Squad? Just stop. Did they look like the Death Squad Friday night against New Orleans? No, they didn't. Stop. Just stop it. But nevertheless, they come back Sunday and they put Houston on notice. Here we come. Here we come. That's what champions do. That is what the Houston Rockets have to do in order to win this series against the Golden State Warriors. This is some special stuff, y'all. And you know what's so beautiful about it? LeBron is right in the middle of all of this, whether you like it or not. Because, yes, the likelihood is that he's going to come out of the East again. Everybody talk about his greatness. Listen, I'm not denying LeBron's greatness. He's the best player in the world right now. But I will tell you, he's lucky as hell. Lucky as hell. Because guess what? The path the road traveled to prosperity has been rife with a bunch of luck. Indiana Pacers, puppies, with a star in Victor Oladipo that we never knew was a star until this season. He was the number one option for the first time in his career. If it wasn't for Lance Stevenson blowing in LeBron's ear from years ago, we might not have even been interested in this series initially. But they fought and they battled, and it was compelling. They got taken out in 7. The Toronto Raptors, we all knew they didn't have the heart to beat LeBron. He's their kryptonite, and good Lord, he showed it. And now you're going against Boston. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Assuming Boston beats Philadelphia. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There's no Kyrie Irving. I mean, damn it, how lucky can LeBron be? How lucky can he be? Going to the finals. Y'all acting like, oh, my God, he had to scratch and claw like he's like Nuno trying to do sit-ups or something. Come on, man. Sorry to get on you about that, Nuno. You know I love you, bro. You know I love you. Nuno's actually looking better, Cat. I must say that. Nuno's looking better and stuff. I think he got a little girl in his life and stuff like that. He trying to get his Mac on, but I'll let that go. I digress. You know, I see Nuno. My point is, ladies and gentlemen, LeBron is probably going to get to the finals. And then after he loses, he'll have a decision to make. He ain't going to stay in Cleveland in all likelihood. So is he going to go Philly, L.A., or Houston? And oh, by the way, if he wanted to go to Houston, should Houston want him? Legitimate question. Just a legitimate question. I got a lot more to talk about in regards to these NBA playoffs, and I'm sure you do too. So don't touch that dial. Stick around. Sirius XM Channel 80, ESPN Radio throughout 250 plus markets across the United States of America. That is where you can find the Stephen A. Smith Show live right here on ESPN Radio.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing, keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
888-729-3776. Before I get to the calls, let me get back to something here. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, don't think for 1 second I'm going to fail to get into the Yankees and the Red Sox. You know, there was a debate that took place this morning on my show First Take on ESPN television from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern time every weekday on ESPN. We were debating the Yankees and the Red Sox. Is it what baseball needs? That's ludicrous. Baseball doesn't need the Yankees, Red Sox. All they need are the Yankees. That's right. I said it. I personally am more thrilled watching the Yankees go up against Houston. You see Springer's perform last night? You see Altuve? You see Keuchel and Verlander and Cole? You see these brothers? And you see the Yankees still find a way to win 3 or 4? That's what I'm interested in. I could care less about the Boston Red Sox. Boston. I don't care. Nominated New Yorker, so I say that facetiously, affectionately, and all of that other stuff. Because I'm getting ready to be in Boston tonight, and they know I'm a New Yorker, and they get on me. But I got to tell you, the Boston fans treat me great. They love and hate me all at the same time, and I absolutely love it. But I'm in really no position from a basketball standpoint to ever say anything. I mean, I have the Knicks. They have the Celtics. What the hell do you want me to say? But baseball-wise, I don't give a damn that the curse was ended and the Boston Red Sox have won more championships than the Yankees in this millennial. At the end of the day, you are not the Yankees. The greatest franchise in the history of sports annals. You are not them. 27 World Series titles. Ruth and DiMaggio and Mantle and the crew. We're talking baseball to Duke and Campanella. That's what you think about. They think about the Yankees. So it's really nice to see this rivalry tonight. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I am simply saying that the Yankees do not need anybody. They don't need anybody's help to uplift baseball. They can do it all by themselves. When the Yankees are relevant, the game of baseball is better. When they stink, there's something missing. Plain and simple. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back to the NBA playoffs. I've got my eyes on Houston. See, ladies and gentlemen, I'm torn. I have to confess this. I love watching the Golden State Warriors. I love being at games at the Oracle. I can't stand traveling to Oakland. Can't stand it. I don't like the Bay Area like that. I'm not one of these people that's in love with San Francisco. I'd rather be in Oakland than San Fran. I feel I'm with my peoples out there. San Francisco, it has a different kind of flavor. Not exactly my style. Having said all of that, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'd much rather be in H-Town. Me personally, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I'm a fan of Chris Paul. I think that Chris Paul, anybody that had any doubts about Chris Paul, Nuno, and I said to all of y'all, how have the Clippers looked since he's been gone? Yeah, have you seen the drop off? Ain't quite the same without CP3. Say what you want. He's a superstar point guard. To be his size, his height, not playing above the rim, I don't think I've ever seen Chris Paul dunk. Doesn't matter. Flat out superstar. Who, by the way, has improved his perimeter shooting significantly. Houston can win it all. Now, do I think they're going to? Now, I got to see that to believe it because, yeah, I think they could beat Cleveland, but you got to get past Steph Curry and the crew. And yes, it's a foregone conclusion to me that the Pelicans and the Utah Jazz are losing their series. Absolutely. Without question. I'm not apologizing for that. That's how I feel. And it's going to be a fact in a matter of 24 hours. This series ain't going past 5 in either series as far as I'm concerned. I think the collision course is imminent and pretty damn much guaranteed. As we have stated. Houston's going to have home court advantage. I believe that the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets are each going to protect their home court for the first 6 games. And there will be a Game 7 at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, where Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson somehow, some way will find a way to come through. That's just what I believe. It's just what I believe. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. In the East, I'm going to say it again. No disrespect to LeBron James. I mean, it's gotten so bad with all of these sensitive folks that feel the need to support LeBron James so much that I actually had a graphic put up created by First Take. And they revealed it today. And I want the graphic up there on the screen anytime I'm talking about LeBron James. Because God forbid I actually say a critical word about him. God forbid. I mean, I don't know if this league office is listening or people from New York to LA and everywhere in between or one of the coaches or former coaches or players or whatever. I ain't even get into his boys. And we didn't even include the fans yet. I mean, it is so ridiculous. This dude is so pacified. I'm trying to figure out why I haven't seen LeBron James do a diaper commercial. I mean, that's how bad it is. You can't say anything about this guy without people losing their damn minds. So I made sure on First Take this morning to create a graphic, and please watch First Take on ESPN. It's on every weekday from 10 a.m. to noon. But an hour before it expires, an hour before I come right here on these airwaves. But you hear me over the airwaves. You'd see it on television. It's a graphic, Nuno, that I created for television. And on the graphic, it says LeBron James, great father, great husband, great basketball ambassador. I talked about his foundation, his philanthropy. I said, did I leave anything out? I mean, listen, should I have added King there, even though you're not wearing the crown right now? It's the Golden State Warriors. Should I have added the crown there? Should I have done that? I need to know. Maybe I should talk to David Fizdale and ask him, is there anything else that I could do to make sure that everybody knows I think LeBron James is one of the greatest ever? Right now, I think there's a legitimate argument to be made between him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as who is the number 2 on the Mount Rushmore of all of basketball. I mean, did I leave anything out? I want to know. Did I leave anything out? Because God forbid did I say give a single critique about this man. I have crucified him. That's how bad it is. If you say something, if LeBron passed gas and you don't say it's perfume, you got a problem. You got a problem. You can't say anything about this guy without people losing their mind. He could go on the court, shoot 1 for 20. Man, why you got to bring that up? Duh, because I was watching the game and it happened. No, you can't do that because it's LeBron. It's LeBron. You can't. I mean, you got to make sure. I want to make sure everybody knows he's a great father. He's a great husband. Did you see him hugging the kids last night, y'all? Did you see him hugging the kids and kissing them on the head and doing, the whole routine? Like, they weren't J.R. Smith or whatever, but it was like they were one of the fellas. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see the sound when Enos Cantor called them out and called them a queen? He said, my wife's the queen. And my daughter's the princess. And I'm the king, so we got it covered. Did you see that? The beautiful sound. Didn't it touch your heart? Didn't it touch your heart? You know what I'm saying? Did I miss anything, ladies and gentlemen? Because I'm getting ready to dissect a few things basketball-wise about LeBron James. And I just want to make sure that I don't offend anybody. I just want to make sure. I want to make sure because I got 100 things to talk about LeBron. 99 are going to be positive, but I might point out one thing. One. Where he might have been able to do that better. Because in the world that I'm talking about, you've now crucified LeBron. 99 things. Okay? None of them problems, by the way. Ain't 99 problems. 99 positive things. But the one thing you might point out that might be slightly critiqued, good God, you got a problem. That's the word according to that's the word of LeBron that we're living in, y'all. When he loses another NBA Finals. Oh, Stephen A., look at who he carried it. Never mind that he's responsible for the team being worse than what they were. Because he had something to do with Kyrie being gone. No, never mind that. Oh my God. I just said that over the airwaves. ESPN, please don't get me in trouble. Please. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Do I need to apologize to the bosses, anybody? Because we got some LeBron fans running around ESPN too. Do I need to apologize to somebody? Nuno, you're one of my producers. Am I worried? Should I be worried about getting suspended? I just finished pointing out a critique about LeBron. He had something to do with Kyrie being gone. Am I going to get suspended? Am I going to lose my job? Jesus. 888-SAY ESPN. Back with your calls in more in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
To the phones we go. Right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Adam in Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. I'm all right.
How's your day going?
I'm all right. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, I got 2 points. One, with the Yankees, I can't remember a time I've been more excited, watching these guys play. You look at L.A. after we beat them and Houston after we beat them, and they're swamping teams now, but that came after we gave them the business. And then my second point would be the Knicks head coach of Fizdale. Seems like, kind of sharing the same points of view. She's just kind of giving you like the political correctness. And right now, New York's kind of hurting. We want good basketball, man. We love the sport. We want to celebrate our Knicks, man. But I'm gonna head out. I want to tune in to hear what you got to say after this. Have a good day, man.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good day. Let's go to Stephen in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen A. This is Stephen A.
I just finished saying, Stephen. Well, go ahead, bro. You're live on the air. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, happy to talk to you. I totally agree about LeBron being a little lucky, and you can't say that. God forbid, he's not facing Kyrie after running him out of town. But I saw your criticism about Philly's coach losing the 3 games. My question is, when Ben Simmons pulled down the ball with the rebound,
that wasn't the coach's fault. That was Ben Simmons.
Yeah, because they could be 2-2 if he would have.
Well, but you also have to understand the coach shares some culpability to some degree with that as well, because you got a young squad, and when we look at errors made by youngsters, that's why you have a coach to teach them.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Stephen. I feel for your Knicks. I'm from Chicago, our team too, so I feel for you, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Listen, the bottom line is the Knicks are moving in the forward direction. I might be critical of them, but that's based on what I've seen. What I'm seeing, although it's not the move that I would have chosen because I would have picked Mark Jackson, I'm very fond of David Fizdale. I know him. I like him. I know he can coach. I didn't think the situation in Memphis was his fault, and I'm happy for Steve Mills and Scott Perry that they decided to move in this direction. I'm going to support all three of them because I know all three of them, okay, and I know what they're capable of doing. I'm going to hold them accountable when they don't do it, but I know what they're capable of doing, and I think they're in good hands so long as Dolan doesn't get in their way. We shall see. Other than that, we're talking NBA playoffs. Talking NBA playoffs, talking Yankees, Red Sox, plus some NFL stuff that went on. And it ain't all good. It involves Malcolm Jenkins and, of course, the NCAA basketball situation. That doesn't involve basketball either. All that and more coming up in hour number 2 with Stephen A. in a minute.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Everybody, welcome back to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you right here on ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, from New York to LA and everything in between, to Houston, San Antonio, and West Palm Beach. The latest additions to the Stephen A. Smith Show lineup. Thank you so much for joining. Of course, the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM style. Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Lots of stuff to get into. Spent the first hour talking about the NBA playoffs, talking about the New York Knicks with the introductory conference to press conference for head coach David Fizdale, new head coach David Fizdale. Of course, we got into the New York Yankees going up against the Boston Red Sox a little bit tonight because everybody's acting like, oh, my goodness, the resurgence of the rivalry because they got into a little fight, a little mini brawl just a few weeks ago. And, oh, my Lord, Boston's in first place and the Yankees are just a game back and all of this other stuff. Like the baseball needs that rivalry. No, they just need the Yankees. That's all. They need the Yankees. If the Yankees were successful but Boston wasn't a part of the mix, I think we'd get over it. I just want to say that. Wanted to touch on something and veer left away from these NBA playoffs for a second there to talk about the NCAA because they're in the news today. They're in the news today not because of a player, not because of a coach, not because of a program, but because of the mother of a particular player that was playing at Duke that spoke adamantly against the NCAA. The mother of former Duke player Wendell Carter gave an emotional speech at the Knight Commission on Intercollegiate Athletics in Washington, D.C. Yesterday, comparing current NCAA rules to slavery. The convention was organized in light of the Rice Commission, as its Condoleezza Rice Commission recent report, and the ongoing corruption that has affected college sports, especially basketball. Wendell Carter's mother addressed a crowd that consisted of mainly white, high-ranking university and NCAA officials, ESPN noted. Says she spoke about her grandmother and mother working on cotton fields in Mississippi. This is Kylia Carter, Wendell Carter Jr.'s mother, speaking at the Knight Commission just yesterday. Listen to this.
The problem that I see is not with the student athlete. It's not with the coaches at the institutions of higher learning, but it's with a system like the only system that I have ever seen where the laborers are the only people that are not being compensated for the work that they do, while those in charge receive mighty compensation. The only two systems where I've known that to be in place is slavery and the prison system. And now I see the NCAA as overseers of a system that is identical to that. And so it's very difficult for me to be able to sit here and not say that there is a problem that is sickening, but the problem, I believe, is not being directed in the right place. And I think that it should be. And I think the covers should be pulled back and everyone be able to see the truth and be aware of what's really happening to the student athlete and their family.
Wow. Very profound statements, obviously incredibly emotional. I just respectfully disagree with her assertions of the word slavery. See, I look at things a little bit differently from time to time. When she breaks down the iniquities of the NCAA, nobody's going to argue with that. When she talks about exploitation, when she talks about marginalization, when she talks about proverbial glass ceilings, the kind of things that she was alluding to, obviously, where it's limiting a player's marketability, his earning power and potential, she's right. When she highlights the fact that most of these universities, and in large part the NCAA, is run by white males, she's right. When she points out that these same white males that implement and enact these policies against these athletes, lots of whom are African American, and you recognize the fact that you have a white power structure in place that minimizes the marketability and the monetization of the black athlete, that resonates. When you couple that with the fact that there is no player representation, there's no players association for the student athlete, that's even more egregious. And at the end of the day, you can honestly sit up there and say, or one could argue, that there's a plantation mentality that exists as it pertains to the NCAA. But when you invoke the word slavery, it ultimately connotates race as well. And last time I checked, there are white athletes in college football and college basketball that are subjected to the same rules. So by virtue of that alone, uttering the word slavery is going to be challenged. The second part to it is that slavery is obviously an extreme form of servitude. Slaves didn't have the right to be free. They didn't have the right to avoid being enslaved. No, Kanye West, you idiot. It was not a choice. It was not a choice. But Wendell Carter's decision to go to Duke was a choice. Wendell Carter's decision to play college basketball was a choice. His mother signing off on him playing basketball in college, that was a choice. Now, I don't think that the compensation of a scholarship is nearly enough for big-time college basketball. But there's small-time colleges that receive scholarships, too, and some folks ain't worth the scholarship. So we have to look at it from the standpoint that these are the kind of things that happen. See, everybody has an opinion, and that's why, I get messages every 2 minutes from people, and I don't listen to them because folks try to influence my thoughts, and I'm not going for it. See, what I'm saying and what I'm challenging is I'm thinking, just like I thought Kanye West was disrespectful to our ancestors, I look at Wendell Carter's mother, and I'm not going to accuse her of doing that. Certainly I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is that when we take into account what they've endured and what they went through, how do you think they would feel if you compared your son's situation today to what they had to endure? See, that's what I think about. Those are the kind of things that give me cause to pause and makes me say to myself, let me chill out with that connotation. I can make my point. An executive who happens to be African American, who has a problem with the NCAA, texting me and calling it a plantation mentality, I have no problem with that. It makes sense. Saying something, whether it's a corporation, it's an entity, it's an individual, accusing them of having a plantation mentality is entirely different than calling something slavery. And if folks don't get that, I can't help you. I just can't help you. You have to be careful. And not only that, you also have to get to a point where do you want to be listened to or do you want to be heard? Like I got one of my boys, I can see him texting me right now. I haven't even opened his text. He's incredibly knowledgeable about sports. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you if he was in this business and he could keep his head on straight, he'd be a star. But as brilliant as he is, he's too damn emotional to be employed in this industry. And that's coming from Stephen A. Smith. I mean, can you believe that? Stephen A. Smith's calling somebody too emotional. Think about that. You know how bad you got to be for me to call you emotional? Because everything he says is fact. And he would be 100% right. And he's listening right now. He knows who he is. I ain't going to say his name. He's listening right now, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? Everything he says is fact. Here's the problem. They're his facts. There's a boatload of other facts that you could throw into the equation that he never does because it doesn't fit his narrative of emotion. Which is why I could see his name and don't even read his text. Because I know what he's going to say. Because they're very predictable. Because it's the same emotion every single day. And he's brilliant when it comes to sports. Brilliant. But too damn emotional. And is only concerned with his side. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm interested in fairness. I'm interested in all sides. And when I heard Wendell Carter's mother speak up the way that she did, you're in front of an audience filled with white executives from corporate America and the NCAA. And what you're saying to them is that you have a plantation mentality. You're holding back these young men. You're not taking into account the other programs that don't generate revenue, that cost them revenue, that they also pay for. You're not entertaining that argument to buffer your point. You're not doing it. And you're invoking the word slavery, which they emphatically know is false because their attitude is, we're not forcing you to do this. You're choosing to. And you now have given them plausible deniability to wiggle their way out from under an argument that's incredibly profound on your part that you're making. But nobody hears you because you invoke the word slavery, which in its literal sense is false. Now, some will sit up there and they'll say, well, you got white coaches. And these white coaches from these big time programs. Because the same brother that I was talking about told me this weeks ago. And he's still texting me, and I see your text messages, bro. I'm not answering them, and I'm not reading them. Don't even know what he said. I know what he said without even reading it, rather, because I know him. But this same individual said this weeks ago, you got white coaches that hire black assistants, and those black assistants are compelled to do dirty work that jeopardizes their own careers and compromises their own careers in order to keep a job. And in keeping that job, they ultimately serve as a shield for the head coach in case anything goes down. They're the ones who get burnt instead of the elite coach who happens to be white, overseeing a big-time collegiate program and doesn't have to worry about the heavy hammer of the NCAA being brought down upon them. That's a valid point. It's incredibly egregious. Except my same friend will call that slavery. It's not slavery. because that black coach didn't have to do that. He chose to do that because he's so in love with the prospects of being in the profession and elevating himself within that profession that he was willing to pay a price with his soul in order to make that happen. That is not slavery. That is not slavery. See, we got to think about things, and it's not just about what we say. It's about what other people hear, because at the end of the day, it's about the message. It shouldn't be about the messenger. What I have to say should not matter more than what I'm saying. It shouldn't be Stephen A. said it. It should be what I said. That is what should resonate. But it doesn't. In today's day and age, depending on the personality, because people want people they can love and hate and do all of this other stuff. At the end of the day, let's be careful. My issue was zero with her argument. It's incredibly profound. It's her invoking the word slavery, because once she did that, she lost. Now, I've got 3 white people in front of me. I mean, 2 of them, actually. You know, I mean, no, I still don't know what these Mexican, Portuguese, I just don't know. But in today's day and age, with full-time scholarships, with multi-million-dollar ball players and beyond, when you hear the word slavery, do you not dismiss them automatically? Chances are you do. Because you know what you've seen and heard and read about pertaining to slavery. Plantation mentality, yes. Slave-like tendencies in terms of one's thinking, yes. But slavery? Can't do that. Not today. No one's going to hear you. You'll be talking to yourself. Just like my boy is that's listening to the show right now. He's talking to himself. Because you can't do that. Senseless. It accomplishes nothing. And that's what everybody has to understand. 888, say ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. The other thing that I wanted to get into, different subject, but along the same lines in certain respects. Malcolm Jenkins. According to some news reports or whatever, Philadelphia Eagle, the kind of endorsement deals he was accustomed to having are no more. Am I correct in saying that, Nuno? Let me say this to you, ladies and gentlemen. Are we really surprised? Now, Malcolm Jenkins is somebody that was working in concert with the owners to address needs of the African-American community, impoverished communities throughout this country, and ended up getting about $89 million from the owners for that cause. So why am I not surprised at all that despite his good deeds, he's suffering the consequences? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the most sophisticated folks out there are not his problem. It's the tens of millions of more people who don't appear to be that sophisticated. That's the problem. And they are rife throughout corporate America. What do I mean by this? Ladies and gentlemen, the whole kneeling issue with Colin Kaepernick was the narrative was hijacked by President Donald Trump. He turned it into an issue of patriotism for his own purposes. My friend is not coming on the air. Tell him to hang up. He's not coming on the air, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not letting him. He's got to learn to calm down, control his emotions, and see both sides, and then he'll be allowed on the air. He can call back tomorrow when he calms down. He's not coming on the air. He just called in. Okay? Here's the reality of the situation. The fact of the matter is that let's pay attention. Malcolm Jenkins has his name synonymous with Colin Kaepernick, even though his position was not the same. He utilized Colin Kaepernick's kneeling to help the African-American community by generating revenue to assist in some of the ventures to help the community. What happened? People that allowed the president to hijack the issue and turn it into an issue of patriotism instead of what it was really about. They don't differentiate between him and Kaepernick and Eric Reed and all of these other guys. They lump them all into the same bowl. And they said because of that, you're associated with this issue that stained and sullied the NFL season in their eyes in 2017. And as a result, we can't have you marketing our brand. Ladies and gentlemen, I implore you to go watch Dave Chappelle in stand-up. I forgot which city he was in. He said if Martin Luther King, if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a sneaker deal in this day and age, he'd have lost it. They'd have said, Dr. King, this is Dave Chappelle talking, Dr. King, we appreciate it, but the rhetoric, could you just tone it down just a little bit? I'm paraphrasing. And he said, but I don't understand. I thought that's why I had a sneaker deal in the first place. And they said, the marching, we're okay with that. But the rhetoric, try and understand. He couldn't be more right. As hilarious as that was, he couldn't be more right. I don't care what it is. At the end of the day, if you are affecting a corporation, a company's bottom line, you're going to pay a price, whether directly or indirectly, whether intentionally or not. If you're making money for the NFL, they have no issue with you. If you're losing money for them, you're an outcast. Perception or reality? It's the truth. And that is the way that it goes. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. What happened to Malcolm Jenkins is no surprise. What's happening to Eric Reed is no surprise. Don't act like you didn't see it coming. You knew. You knew. By the way, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screening questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Your calls and more in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people.
For around-the-clock access to the man?
I'm Stephen A.
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at Stephen A.
Let's turn up the
I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun. Maybe we should stay together.
An emotional roller coaster? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I just need a little me time.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Back to the phones we go at 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Dwayne in Illinois. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Stephen A., how you doing today?
I'm all right. Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Good, good. Hey, I wanted to comment on Wendell Carter Jr.'s mother and her speech.
Yep.
And you in agreement with her on the NCAA kind of having a plantation mentality?
Well, no. She said slavery. I disagreed with that. I thought it was too extreme verbiage, but I said she should have said something like a plantation mentality, and that to a degree would have been more accurate. But slavery, when you invoke that word, it's an entirely different connotation. And I think that, out of respect to my ancestors who really, really struggled and suffered in that regard, I don't think we can accuse people today of going through the same thing. That's all I said.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you there. My question to you is, do you think that these college athletes if you're in agreement that it was more of a plantation mentality is the route she should have went, do you think that we should take away education from them as well?
Take away education from who, sir?
They're receiving scholarships and not having to pay tuition.
No. Listen to what I'm saying, because people convolute this issue. They get this twisted. I'm going to rectify that for you right now. We live in a capitalistic society. Is that not correct, Dwayne?
I agree.
So because we live in a capitalist society, let me ask you a question, Dwayne. Do you deserve, what do you do for a living?
I am a teacher.
Okay. Do you believe every teacher deserves as much as you get?
No, I don't.
Right. Now listen, what I'm saying is you believe those who are better and more productive should be compensated better. Don't you agree? Don't you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
All right. So why ask me a question that's so generic about college sports when you know good and damn well what we're talking about are programs who generate money? The NCAA should figure out a way to benefit those who generate money for the NCAA.
You're talking like the free education that they receive.
No. I'm not talking about the free education. I'm talking about it's far more than that. Others are receiving a free education. But if I'm at Alabama, I don't deserve a free education similar to Drexel. I'm at Alabama. I play football for Alabama. I'm raking in tens of millions of dollars for the program. It's not Drexel. It's not St. John's football or Villanova football or something. It's Alabama. If I'm at Duke playing basketball, okay, it's not City College. It's not the same.
How many of those Alabama players go on to make millions of dollars?
That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point. We're talking about what they generate while they're in college. What I'm saying is that based on what you're saying, it gives the NCAA a license to hide behind what they're not doing for the few programs that generate dollars exponentially for them. Everybody doesn't do the same for them. So why try to treat everybody the same?
Okay, I see your point there.
That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that don't act like everybody has to be equal. Because in fairness to you, Dwayne, I'm saying to you, the same is applicable. If you're getting a scholarship, right? And a scholarship and the numbers you generate ultimately pays for the scholarship and you don't deserve nothing more. You don't deserve nothing more. But don't tell me that somebody that's playing for a program that generates tens of millions of dollars should be treated the same as a program who generates pennies. That's not the American way. But the NCAA tries to act like it is. We want to be fair and equal, but some of them get raises and some of them don't. That's not right.
Come from these lower level schools like the Steph Curry's coming from a small school like Davidson that's not generating the money that.
But wait a minute. One could argue that Davidson did generate money when Steph Curry was there because he became a phenom and it was selling out tickets and they made the NCAA tournament and he brought them a level of success that they had not enjoyed before his arrival. So again, you don't then sit there and say, well, you know what? We're giving you the scholarship and you should be satisfied with that. When you know good and damn well he's generating money for you. That's my point.
And then he goes away, and who's the name one player that's on Davidson's roster?
Okay, well then you modify it then. But then you modify it then. What you used to give when you were generating money, if you generate less money, you get less. The NCAA is a business in every sense except for when it comes to compensating the student athlete. And I'm saying no, if it's a business, be a business.
Okay, I can appreciate that.
That's
one
it.
Last question.
Hurry up. Go ahead.
One last question. Kobe or LeBron, greatest all time? Leave Jordan out of it. He's obviously the greatest.
Kobe, listen, I would take Kobe over LeBron in the last 2 minutes before recently, by the way. Now I would definitely put LeBron over that. Kobe's got 5 rings. LeBron has 3. But LeBron being the physical specimen that he is, what he brings to the table, his conditioning and everything else that comes with it, there is no question that LeBron James is top 3 all time. It can't be denied any longer. Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Let's go to Elijah in Virginia. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Elijah.
Hey, what's up, Stephen A? Hey, I just got a question for you. Suppose I propose to you a 3-team trade with the Los Angeles Lakers, the San Antonio Spurs, and the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans do a sign and trade with the Lakers. They send Boogie Cousins over to the Lakers. The Lakers, in turn, they send Julius Randle, a first-round pick, Brandon Ingram, to the San Antonio Spurs. and then the Spurs give up Kawhi Leonard and send him off to the New Orleans Pelicans.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. I just don't know if that's enough money to make a deal work with Kawhi. But I like your thinking. I wouldn't rule it out. I think anything is possible right now. But I'll tell you one thing I think is better. If I'm San Antonio and I'm going to move Kawhi Leonard, I'd rather get Kyrie Irving than what you mentioned. Appreciate the call. Junior in Dallas, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Junior, go ahead.
Yeah, Stephen A., how's it going?
Go ahead. I'm good, man. Talk to me.
What's it going to take for the 76ers to take the next step? Or what's it going to take down there?
They need another playmaker, preferably one with a perimeter shot, and they need to improve the perimeter shooting ability of Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has to get a jump shot. It's the only thing he should be practicing on. He's got to get a jump shot. If he doesn't get a jump shot, it's all for naught. It's all for naught. He's got to get a jump shot. He's got to become a threat. They're playing 5-on-4 defensively in Boston when Ben Simmons is on the floor because they don't have to defend him unless he gets within 10 feet of the basket. They don't have to defend him. And that's a problem.
Big problem. Yeah.
Big
Spot on, Stephen A.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate the call. Number to call up is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Yankees, Red Sox, the NBA playoffs, LeBron, where's he going to go? More NBA playoffs, plus you heard me talk about the NCAA, as well as Malcolm Jenkins and the whole Kaepernick situation. All that and more as I take your phone calls to close out the show. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Dale in Kentucky, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you what you think if LeBron went to the Pelicans. What kind of a dynamic would that ensue?
I definitely think you'd be an instant title contender. Him and Anthony Davis together, you could win the title.
Well, you got Holiday in there and Rondo.
I just don't think that LeBron is coming to New Orleans.
Well, I hear you hear him L.A. and Philly and Houston.
Yes.
I don't know. LeBron looks for a great atmosphere, and I think that would be something to consider.
It might be something to consider, no question about it. But I've never heard New Orleans mentioned in the equation. But I will tell you, Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday with LeBron James would be instant title contenders without question. Appreciate the call, man. Good call, no doubt about it. Paul in Inglewood, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
What's up, Mr. Smith? Hey, I got number love for you, baby, and I respect you. But the last 2 days, I just can't stand to hear you make this statement anymore. That LeBron James is the greatest player in the NBA right now. And you know what? I heard you say earlier that if Houston and Golden State met in Game 7, that Golden State will find a way to pull it out. That's very much true because Golden State has the best basketball player in the NBA right now in Mr. KD. Y'all must have forgot what KD did to LeBron James.
Stop right there. Stop right there. KD is a better shooter. KD is a better foul shooter. KD is a superstar extraordinaire. But the one thing about KD is that you have to compel him to be that alpha dog. And there are many, many nights where, as efficient as he is, he's not nearly as aggressive as he should be. Paul, I think your case, because I've made the case before that KD is coming. And when KD won Finals MVP, I said KD arrived. But the one thing even you'd have to admit, Paul, is that if KD were more aggressive on a night-in, night-out basis, your argument would be even better.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to put it like this. Hey, he could be more aggressive, but he doesn't have to be that aggressive because of his team.
Well, wait a minute. You don't get to say that because the first 9 years he was in OKC, he needed to be more assertive to offset what Russell Westbrook was trying to do, and he didn't do it.
But with that argument right there, I would say he wasn't ready.
Stop right there. But then you don't get to say that. Because if you're saying that he wasn't ready at that time, and then you're talking about what he doesn't have to be because of his teammates, then you have no evidence to validate definitively your point. Because he didn't do it the first 9 years in OKC, and since he's in Golden State, he doesn't have to. So if he didn't do it before and he doesn't have to now, then you don't know.
let me ask you this then. When LeBron James first came into the league, was he the greatest player in the league?
Not at all. Not at all.
It was a process.
Time out. Once again, you're not listening. See, that's being hard-headed and emotional. I said 2 scenarios. KD didn't do it when he should have, and now he's in Golden State, so he doesn't have to. Therefore, there's no evidence. Whereas with LeBron, there was evidence that he couldn't do it when he needed to earlier in his career, but he's doing it now. And he did it en route to 3 titles. So there's more evidence. Call back another day when you have a better argument. Ellis in Louisville, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Ellis, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you agree with me that KD don't get no credit for what he's doing in Golden State?
I don't think he doesn't get any credit. I think universally being universally recognized one of the top 3 players on the planet is more than enough credit.
The State won a championship.
What did I just say? He's the MVP of the finals. They won a ring. Kevin Durant is universally recognized as one of the top 3 players in the world. How can you say he's not being given any credit?
No, I said he shouldn't be given any credit until he leaves and goes to the Wizards or somewhere.
No, I'm not going to go that far because guess what? There's something to be said for you showing up and balling out the way that he did last year. I'm not going to disrespect KD like that. It would be nice because God knows the Wizards could use him, but they'll never get him unless he wants to go home, which he doesn't want to do. So I don't see, but I would love to see him with John Wall and Bradley Beal. I just don't think it could happen. And by the way they played this year, I don't know if that would be enough, to be quite honest with you. Matt in New York, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Matt, go ahead.
Hey, Stephen A. What I was thinking about was why doesn't the NCAA let the players make a percentage of the jersey sales for the university? So this way, if you're a player being recruited, let's go back to your Duke and Davidson example. If you're recruited by both colleges, Davidson could say, hey, I'll give you 20% of jersey sales, where Duke may say, I'll only give you 5%, or I might not even sell you a jersey.
You want me to tell you what I don't like about your suggestion? Why I'm so appalled by your suggestion? Because you act like people don't have ideas. There's been plenty of ideas that have been thrown in NCAA's direction. There's no shortage of ideas. They just don't want to do it. This is not a matter of we're trying to figure out how to come up with a way to assuage the concern of those on behalf of the players. This is them trying to get around ever doing anything for the players. They're terrible. They don't care. And that's what you're missing. Gotta run. Appreciate the call. Time to ditch your outdated sports drink and switch to Body Armor sports drink. With more natural flavors and sweeteners and no colors for artificial sources, Body Armor is the more natural, better sports drink. Thought I'd point that out. Actually, we're running out of time. I'm sorry, Kevin. I was about to go to you, but the show's about to end. I apologize. I'll have to get to you until tomorrow. I had a whole bunch of phone calls before you called, so my apologies. I'll be back with y'all in 22 hours. I'm going to go home tonight and watch the Yankees beat the Red Sox. Beat them down. That's what I expect. That's what will happen. Yankees in Houston. Rematch of the ALCS. That's what's going to happen in October. We'll tolerate the Red Sox until then. Until 22 hours from now. Peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.